Guardian Angel by Lily Pinwielder. Read by Niche-lle. Chapter 2. Present day. 10 months post-Sludge Villain. February 18th. Izuku sits on the roof, kicking his legs in silence. With every swing, his feet dip through the wall beneath him like water, and it's still so jarring, even after all this time, how he still needs to focus to keep himself solid. The bit of the roof he sat on feels real enough at the moment, but he knows how quickly he can fall through the floor below if he stops paying attention. He honestly doesn't know how to feel about it sometimes. It was so easy in the end, dying. He'd been taken out of the equation so swiftly, and it was only the deep-seated need to see what the villain would do with his body that had led Izuku to follow after him after all. He still doesn't know what happened to it. By the time Izuku had caught up to the villain, he had been raging and slinking around buildings and alleyways in search of a new flesh suit, and Izuku shudders, hands wrapping around himself in a facsimile of a hug. There's no warmth to be had in his own icy limbs, though, and Izuku is left to huff out a silent breath into the chill of the night, half expecting to see it puff out in the air from the cold before remembering once again that breathing is now optional and disconnected from the world around him. He shudders again, squeezing himself tighter. If Kyoka hadn't heard his call, if Kyoka hadn't rushed to his aid, would he have been forced to watch that man die as well? Would they both have been doomed to sit on this ledge together for all eternity, with no one but each other for company? Izuku feels a phantom prickle in his eyes and rubs at them absently, even though he knows he can't actually cry anymore. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. He'd gone to visit his mother as Kyoka had urged him to do, but he hadn't been able to make himself visible to her, and it was affecting him more than he thought it would. She'd been on the phone with someone, arguing harshly against calling off the search. Apparently the cops hadn't found Izuku's body either, the running theory being that it had been absorbed by the sludge and broken down by acidity. His mom kept denying it, though, claiming that the other victim would have suffered chemical burns as well, and that, if a body wasn't found, then my baby is still out there. And Izuku had hesitated. Appearing before her as a ghost would immediately tell her the truth after all. Could he do that to her? Is it cruel to leave her with hope that he's still alive when he knows too well that he isn't? Or is it better to reveal himself as dead and allow her the comfort of still seeing him around anyway? Izuku still doesn't know. So he'd done nothing. The familiar sound of Kyoka kicking the fire escape alerts him to her presence, but Izuku can't muster any enthusiasm for a greeting. Not today. He briefly toys with the idea of vanishing before she gets here, but immediately discards it out of hand. He's left the fire escape down for her after all, and she knows he only does that when he's here. Kyoka plops down beside him with a huff of her own, and Izuku watches with a twinge of jealousy as her breath mists in the air. He'd never thought he'd be missing something so benign. But then he'd never thought he'd die stuck around as a ghost either. Hey, ghost boy, you okay? Usually you pop down to greet me. Great. Now Kyoka's worried about him too. I'm fine, he mumbles into his knees, arms still hugging himself close. Kyoka studies him with those sharp eyes of hers, and Izuku resists the urge to duck his head further. Things go bad with your mom? She finally asked, and Izuku would be impressed with how quickly she pierced the very heart of the issue if it didn't mean he needed to talk about it now. Something like that. His voice is muffled, but that's never been a problem for Kyoka, and she hums thoughtfully. You didn't tell her, did you? And Izuku bristles at the perceived judgment in her tone. You don't understand, okay? She thinks I'm still out there somewhere. That if she keeps the search going, they'll eventually find me and bring me home. Kyoka tilts her head. Aren't you, though? Izuku stares, the angry words on his tongue vanishing into the ether. What? He croaks. Kyoka rolls her eyes, reaching out for him with both hands, and it's pure reflex that has Izuku holding his form so that she can grab him by the collar and give him a shake. You're still here, aren't you? Who cares if you're... Her voice cracks, and she clears it awkwardly, eyes rolling away from his, but grip remaining tight on his shirt. You are still out there, and your name is getting around. Do you want her to find out what's been going on by reading a vigilante piece in the newspaper? Izuku's eyes widen. Kyoka shakes him again before pulling him into a hug, and it's so much warmer than any of the ones he's attempted to give himself. Dumbass, she murmurs, but the insult bleeds affection, and Izuku finds himself hugging her back absently as the phantom burn fills his eyes again. Abruptly, Kyoka pulls away, swiping her hand over her own eyes, and Izuku can't help but marvel at how the action and moisture doesn't affect her eyeliner at all. He snapped out of his thoughts about whether makeup would remain on him when he turns intangible, or if it would just hit the ground like food and water do, by Kyoka clapping her hands on her cheeks suddenly. Enough about this. It's a happy night, damn it. She throws an arm around his shoulders, and Izuku feels the burning in his eyes again, because touching him is cold. He knows it is. People shiver all the time when he accidentally passes through them, and tonight is already chilly enough. But she's hugging him, holding him close, and people didn't casually do things like that with him when he was alive, much less now that he's... Entrance exams are coming up, Kyoka says into the stillness, eyes fixed on the skyline across from them. Oh, you got this? She snorts, shoving him lightly, and he refrains from shoving her back, because unlike him, she can actually fall, and the last time he accidentally pushed her, he'd almost been too late to catch her before she hit the ground. The fact that she still trusts him after that, to sit up here with him, is just... I'm applying to UA. Oh, he says again, realizing what this is. They'd talked about it before, both when their friendship was still new and after he'd started using his ghostliness for good. But now that it's actually around the corner, he feels a familiar anxiety creeping up in his chest, and it's only the fact that he can no longer breathe that keeps it from blowing into a full-blown panic attack. I see. You should come with me, she says, and he's already shaking his head, fingers digging into the roof beneath him. You don't need me there. Come on, Izu. Remember how we worked together in Nagano? How am I supposed to be the best hero I can be without my trusty sidekick? Izuku is derailed from his spiral by a flash of righteous indignation. Sidekick? I did all the work in Nagano. So you'll come? She grins, and it hits him that she knows exactly what she's doing when she drops random, infuriating comments into the conversation like that. It warms him that even after such a short amount of time, she knows him so well. But still. Izuku is silent for a long moment, and Kyoka turns to face him as if reassuring herself that he's still there. She's told him before that it's always eerie when he goes silent, since he's the only person she's ever met without a heartbeat to listen to during the lulls in conversation. He feels bad that she had to check he didn't vanish on her, but he still takes his time to formulate his thoughts into words. If I come, Izuku starts, I'd be tempted to help out. He stares down at his hands and the way that he can see right through them to the far-off ground below. And that would be cheating. His hands squeeze into fists, and then he finally turns to her with a shy smile. But if you get in, I'll come visit sometimes. Maybe sit in on a few classes. Kyoka smiles back. Promise? She teases, holding out her pinky with a laugh. Promise, Izuku beams, hooking her pinky with his and giving it a shake. Kyoka has to swallow around the sudden lump in her throat. His finger is icy around hers, and his smile is gentle and kind, and his heart is so big, and all he ever wanted was to help people. It's not fair that he's dead. 6 months ago, 4 months post-Sludge Villain, August. The friendship with the Ghost Boy is still budding and new, even with all the time that has passed since Kyoka almost died because he called out for help. He hangs around the abandoned convenience store, and he's always there when she stops by, just sitting around staring in the sky no matter what time of day it is. It always makes something heavy settle into her gut every time she sees it because it almost looks like he's waiting to disappear. She doesn't like it, which is why on this particular weekend she seeks him out for the sole purpose of cocking a hip and shouting, "Get up, nerd, we're going shopping!" It takes him so long to move that she'd been ready to climb up there herself by the time his head appears over the edge of the roof. His forehead is creased in confusion, but it clears as soon as he catches sight of her. Oh, it's just you. Well, she grumbles in mock irritation. Nice to see you, too. Ah, no, wait! The boy flails, slipping off the roof and giving her a mini panic attack before he floats gently to the ground instead of falling like she had expected. I didn't mean it like that. I just thought you were someone else for a second. Oh, Kyoka frowns. I didn't know other people come by to see you. They don't. Oh. Kyoka's confusion persists until like a bolt of lightning it hits her that he must be talking about someone from when he was still. Nope, not thinking about that. Let's go then. She cheers with forced brightness. There's this new shop in Nagano that's having their grand opening today, which means all the nearby stores will be having massive sales in an attempt to compete for attention. The boy doesn't say anything, but he does move to hover along beside her as she heads to the train station, so Kyoka takes it as a win. How was she supposed to know there would be a villain attack? The ground rocks beneath her feet as the crowd of screaming people race past, and Kyoka tries to find the ghost boy with her hearing, by habit, before realizing that if he's not speaking aloud, then she's obviously can't track him. She coughs and stumbles to her feet, searching for the familiar transparent green hair and black uniform, but he's nowhere, and the shrieks of the civilians interspersing with the crashing of buildings coming down has her pressing her hands over her earphone jacks in panic. There's so much screaming. Her heart races at the onslaught of it all, bile rising up in her throat as she registers voices coming from below, and she wants to be a hero, damn it. She needs to get up and do something, because people need help, and she's just collapsed here on the side like a helpless civilian when she has the audacity to want to be a hero. There's so much screaming. A hand claps onto her shoulder, and Kyoka full body flinches even as she turns desperately, struggling to find the words to get this all to stop.
"It's not safe here,"
a hero says, helping her to her feet and steering her towards safety. And Kyoka's mouth opens because this can't be all. She needs to tell him. He needs to help. "Please," she gasps, chest tight from everything her quirk is picking up, and the panic at being the only one who can hear them. "My quirk, I can..."
"Quirk use is illegal,"
the hero admonishes, already turning back to the fight.
"Just leave this to the professionals."
And Kyoka doesn't cry, too overwhelmed at being ignored to do so, but it's a near thing, and she only manages 2 steps before she's falling to her knees against the onslaught. "Help us! Someone! Can anyone hear me?" It's too much. It's all too much, and Kyoka whimpers, hands over her ears, desperately praying that she won't have to hear these people die. "Hey!" A familiar voice and a seeping coldness through her shirt she's only felt once before. "Are you okay? What happened?" Kyoka lunges for him like a lifeline. "Ghost boy," she breathes, trembling against his wrists. "You need to help me." What? You can pass through walls and shit, right?" Kyoka's voice is barely more than a croak over the cacophony of screams ringing through her head, but her grip on the ghost boy's hands are tight, and though he could slip through her grasp if he wanted to, for some reason he's just letting her hold him. I can," he responds slowly, and that's all the confirmation Kyoka needs. This boy had done everything he could to save her back then, and she doesn't doubt he'll do everything he can to save them now. "There's people, trapped, in the buildings." It's a struggle to speak over her pain and panic, and even more of a struggle to release one of his hands so that she can point. There, and... She chokes off as a rumbling of falling debris invokes a shout from somewhere to the left. "And I can hear them." She expects the boy to flounder, to question, to waste precious time verifying her stumbled words. She does not expect him to snap to attention, lifting her to her feet with ease. "Where's the most pressing?" She doesn't want to, but if he can do it for her, then she can do it for him. She sends her earphone jack into the ground at her feet, and the screams of the trapped and the racing or faltering heartbeats ring even louder in her ears. "That way first," she manages, swallowing convulsively to keep her breakfast from coming back up. 3 of them, clustered together. And then he's gone, slipping from her hands and her sight as if he hadn't been there at all, only to reappear moments later floating up from beneath her feet with a boy clinging to his back and his hands dragging 2 limp adults by the back of their shirts. "Where's the triage station?" Kyoka has to blink and shake herself, sending her free earphone jack flying in all directions till she can isolate the medics. 2 blocks that way." Ghost Boy vanishes again, and Kyoka finally starts sobbing. He really is her hero. And she doesn't even know his name. Hey y'all, I'm back. And let me tell you, Dabi's voice actor and Ch.2's voice actor in a panel together are fucking hilarious. Also, sorry I'm not doing a double update. This chapter was actually a little longer than I thought it was going to be. And I wanted to get a video out to y'all as soon as possible because I haven't done anything for the last 2 weeks. I also just realized I think this is the most angsty one that I've ever read. I think everything I've done so far has more been crack fix. Well, let me know what you think of this chapter, and I will see y'all in the next one.